Kaushal, thank you so much for this interview today and welcome to Stat Media Group. If you could just brief us a little about KB Exports, what it does, and also about its clients.
We are a fresh produce export company and we export about 8,000 tons of produce globally with a strong bias towards UK, Europe and US. We are an integrated company, so we do right from farming to manufacturing pesticides, packing in our own pack houses with fleet of our own vehicles. We also have a sales office in UK and most importantly we have our own freight forwarding division which brings us here. So right from farming to sales, we have end-to-end integration. So something which is very unique for our industry.
So when it comes to shipping, so do you use ocean freight and air freight both?
We are largely an air freight player. Some products like pomegranates and ginger, we ship by sea. So our intent is to ship as much as we can by sea, but sectors like Europe and US, it's a bit easier to serve them by air. So we're focusing on air freight for now and that's our specialization.
So why are you a little more inclined towards ocean freight?
Well, obviously the cost and the volumes. So the moment you bring down costs, your volumes go up. So there's a lot of attempt to sea freight mango, but it's such a special product and so sensitive that it's never been achieved successfully by sea. But if it can ever be done by sea freight, the volumes can go 10 times in very short time. So that's the advantage of sea freight businesses, that they are generally much bigger than air freight.
And how would you differentiate KB to be different from other freight forwarders?
Well, so most freight forwarders obviously serve a wide range of clients. A bulk of our business continues to be our own captive business, so we are our own business. But we have also interestingly now started looking at serving other clients. We realize that we have a strong base, we have a strong team. So why don't we try and look for servicing clients which are not just perishables but also general cargo. But that we are predominantly a captive forwarder, meaning our own cargo, our own company's cargo is what we try and offer. So for the airline, it becomes very easy to work with us because they know that if they give a good deal, then it will be converted. Because we are ourselves taking those decisions. We don't have to rely on a shipper for that. So yeah, that's what differentiates us from others.
And being an exporter, what challenges are you facing and what solutions are you looking for, maybe from the government or maybe from the air side, from the air logistic company or from the airlines or airports?
So we compete across a wide range of aspects of the industry. So for example, we compete with cheaper freight destinations or shipping countries. So for example, Kenya would generally be more expensive than India, but in the last 2 years it has been much cheaper than India. So these are some of the challenges we have to face. Of course, the market forces of demand and supply drive these things, but the government can intervene and can give us some interventional support. So for example, we would look forward to some freight assistance from APIDA, which is the Export Promotion Council, and they did have something similar in the past. We have to be mindful that any government policies have to be in sync with the World Trade Organization restrictions. So as far as those can be adhered to, where we can have probably much easier ways of transacting, one shop for a lot of certifications. So already a lot of progress has happened, but some more can be done.
And talking around the globe, so you are already doing business in countries like UK, Europe and US as well?
That's right.
Yeah. So what are the new markets that you are looking at expanding to?
So the world quarantine concepts are very emerging. There are a lot of countries which don't have any access for Indian products and now they're allowing access. The moment we start getting this access, so for example, pomegranates for Australia, or for example, difficult markets like mangoes for South Korea and Japan. I think these are the aspects which allow us to explore new markets.
And any changes in the client demand that you have seen, and you might have also make any changes in your business model because of those demands?
The first things first is that air freight is the largest cost we deal with in our business. So how we can optimize that, and the pandemic taught us a lot of new things. We were able to ship from non-traditional export airports much easily because we were forced to go there. So for example, right now we ship from Amritsar, Delhi, Hyderabad, Mumbai, Goa, Ahmedabad and Bangalore and Cochin. So with such a wide bouquet of airports that we are trying to access, it has given us a lot of efficiency in terms of how we do business. And I think the pandemic forced us to change our business model and be more widespread with our export aspirations. I think the other part also is that the pandemic has taught a lot of challenges can come and go, but you need to try and live with it rather than try and crib about it. So I think what we have found is that customers who were earlier very rigid about price changes and now they are more open to contingency pricing. I think once the pandemic came in, then the Russia-Ukraine war and the fuel crisis, So I think these things have been quite interesting. The customers have become more integrated with us. They realize that it cannot be that we can take all these risks on our own. And we are also convincing them to try and have a flexible pricing model where we can factor in all these cost changes.
Are there any changes in the business that currently you have done or you're planning to in this year that you would like to share?
Well, we have taken some big diversification steps. So we have started a business for organic pesticides. That's something which is very, very big diversification for us. It just de-risks us from a lot of industry shocks that this current export industry can face. So for a couple of weeks in the first part of the pandemic, we were completely zero on transactions till the airlines resumed. So to have such kind of shocks is not something which we would like to have again. And that we are also now looking at the domestic space on all aspects, on the organic pesticide, on the fresh produce. I think that is a good de-risking that we have intentionally chosen to do.
So also, you know how the after the pandemic, the cargo rates for air freights have just increased and they're just spiking and they're not stabilizing as of now. And I think until a couple of years it won't.
Right.
So how do companies like you or like other freight forwarders, how are you planning on surviving and still be in the market, still be on the top and just keep the business flow?
I think sometimes challenges are welcome because it allows more organized companies to perform better. Sometimes when problems emerge, we kind of emerge a better company out of that. So we don't look at challenges as something that we should avoid. We sometimes look forward to good challenges that we can overcome. I think in that sense, yeah, I think we have done well. And we have also started incorporating some flexi pricing with our customers. We have been open book with them, explain to them that, hey, these are the costs that we are facing, and they appreciate the openness and they're more receptive to changes which they were not earlier.
And let's talk about digitalization. So, are there any new technologies and any new innovations that you've used into your business process, or do you think that there is a need that we need to get in one?
So when it comes to our export planning businesses, yeah, we use a lot of tools. We use Google Sheets extensively. We start planning our business with multi-location people. So it doesn't matter now whether you are 5 feet away from your colleague, or you are 5 meters away, or you are 5 states away. I think it's been a very interesting thing that work can happen with collaboration without location being a constraint. And I think people have started understanding that. So yeah, I think we have chosen to use technology in full earnest.
I would just like to go back to the questions about pandemic and the crisis. So during the pandemic as well as during the Ukraine-Russia war, how did your business get impacted and how did you overcome it?
So in the pandemic, of course, we chose to ship from multiple airports. So we put our fleet of vehicles to good use. We started packing in Maharashtra but shipping out of Bangalore. We have gone all the way to Delhi as well. So we have been packing in West India and shipping all the way from north. I think the longest distance we have covered is we have packed in South Maharashtra and shipped from Amritsar. So I think this unheard of logistical solutions is what kept us in the business, because for a lot of customers it was not about sometimes the best quality, but it was also about just getting food on the shelf. And I think we managed to do that well and win their confidence. So it has allowed us to secure more contracts with them. And I think people have realized that India is a fairly reliable country to work with. So a lot of businesses which otherwise countries or importing countries would do with, let's say, Africa or Southeast Asia, they find India is a slightly more reliable place to do business. For example, even ginger, which Chinese ginger dominates the world market, but people want an alternate source. And I think India can offer that source very well.
That's great. So as you rightly mentioned, like India is a reliable place and the people across the globe are actually observing that. You think there is any measures that we need to take to sustain on this reliability, plus get a little more ahead to this?
I think India should do a good marketing of its own businesses. I think the embassies around the world are very well placed to do that. The Indian embassies, they can represent Indian trade. Even a good export association which furthers the interest of the trade is always a good idea. The Export Promotion Council, which is APIDA, is also doing some promotions and some exhibitions. So I think these steps need to further intensify so that we can try and capitalize.
So Kaushal, I'm done with my questions. Is there anything you would like to discuss on?
So we have been very active on the air freight side. In fact, some of our businesses of air freight are even bigger than mid-size agencies. That we became a shipper forwarder was something very rare and unique in 10 years back. But we see that that's getting more common now. We are seeing people try and replicate this model more often.
Okay.